I want to ask you a question. We barely touched on the topic of reincarnation in the previous show because I didn't ask you. Where do you get that from? That we have a memory? Explain the whole concept to me because I don't quite understand it, right? The fact you literally mentioned this, that we forget our true nature once we incarnate. What is our true nature? Why do we reincarnate? How do you get out of that cycle? How does that cycle work? I find this topic interesting and would like to hear your perspective.
There is a Kabbalistic treatise called Sha'ar Hagilgulim, which is called The Wheel of Reincarnations, by Isaac Luria, one of the great Kabbalists of the 16th century. And there, he explains this whole process in detail. I'm going to give a summary because it has to be summarized in this case, but I think it will be understood pretty well. And also, I think I'm going to do it from my own worldview, using the language that technology gives us today so that it's much easier to understand. Imagine that you are in an environment where you decide that you want to experience certain things, that you want to carry out certain types of experiences that can't happen in the environment you come from. This occurs due to the environment's constitution and circumstances, so a virtual environment should be created. So this is possible. We'll call that virtual environment the physical world, and it's an environment where good and evil will coexist. Environment. Good and evil are very different vibrations, right? Vibrationally, are good and evil far apart? The Creator brilliantly made two distant vibrations coexist in one environment. If he hadn't done this, they never could have met. So he creates an environment where good and evil can coexist, and this environment provides us with a setting where we can have experiences that have a bit of good and a bit of evil, or a bit of evil and a bit of good. It doesn't matter to me. When we incarnate here, we forget our true nature, which is spiritual, because we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. But we are not from here. I mean, our soul does not belong to this world. Kabbalah teaches that it comes from another dimension called Gan Eden, or the Garden of Eden, but it's not an actual garden. All right, so we can understand each other. And when we incarnate in this world, we start to have experiences, and those experiences challenge us to develop our potential. That's what the game is about. I bring personal potential and agreed upon lessons that I want to live, giving me opportunities. The events of life, the people I meet, the attacks I receive, and also the loves I have, the affections, both positive and negative. And they will make me experience certain things, the profession, the trips I'm going to take, everything, absolutely everything. The Zohar, which is a fundamental book of Kabbalah, the Zohar always explains to us that there are three things that are predetermined and unchangeable from the soul's incarnation in the body, which are the number of years you are going to live, the financial resources you will have, and whether you will have children or not, and how many children. That is unchangeable. And then there is a whole series of, let's say, elective subjects that may or may not happen, and that will appear or not, depending on how things go. The video game has a lot of randomness. I can't think of the word in Spanish right now. Not alternative, random. Now I remember. Random, sorry. So does the game have a lot of randomness? Why? Because they are algorithms that generate themselves all the time. So those algorithms give you events so you can play and respond, training yourself. Immune training, how? How? By responding. How? Supposedly with emunah, with faith that you are connected and that these are the signs and events you have to experience in this life. When anything happens to you, that's significant. First, ask yourself why this is happening to you. Why is this happening to me? What lesson should I learn and how should I respond? Or what response shouldn't I give? I mean, it's a really sophisticated game. It's very sophisticated. And then there are another set of subjects that I call core subjects. In this study you undertake in this world, those core subjects are the ones I've enrolled in, which are events 4, 5, and 6. Very important, no more, in a person's life, which are really the events we have signed up to come for. Those events come to rectify that in previous editions of the video game, in another scenario, in another era, in another time. Me, but an earlier version of myself. I made mistakes, did bad things, or did good things, but the bad things I did, I have to make right. Well, for example, if I lied, it's very interesting. The Kabbalah teaches that liars are reincarnated as left-handed people in this world. People say left-handedness comes from twisting the truth, so do such people reincarnate as left-handed men or women? These are signs the Kabbalah books teach you to identify. What might be one rectification a person comes to do? For instance, in my consultations, I use those manuals to determine what the person came to rectify. There are a lot of signs, and I use a technology, a metaphysical machine called the diagram. Personality archetypes, in which, based on the person's date of birth and the name written in Hebrew, I identify crime and analyze what rectification processes this person has in this world. So what does he bring from previous videos? What does he have to rectify here? What are his strengths? What are his weaknesses? And it's very interesting because people have real revelations when they see this and realize the decisions they've made in the past. Some of them could have been made differently. Well, it's okay. They were made in the past, it's done, and now try to make it right. Try to make better decisions in the future. And what are his weaknesses? And in those weaknesses, we'll try to activate his potential. I mean, we come with certain potential to develop. I mean, the parable of the talents, going back to the Christian Gospels, is very well explained, where this Lord leaves the earth, leaving each of his 3 sons. He gives a certain amount of talents. To the eldest son, he gives 10 talents. To the middle son, he gives 5. And to the youngest, he gives 1. I think that's how the story went. And when he returns, he asks them to give an account. Let's see, my sons, what have you done with the talents I gave you? A talent is a coin, but also a metaphor for your gifts. To the oldest, though, the one he gave 10 talents to according to his ability, the gospel says according to his ability. To the soul with a larger capacity, he gives more talent. What has the soul done with them? Has it developed them? Yes, Father says. I developed them and now bring you 20 talents, right? He compares it to a financial investment for the one with 5. What did you do with your ability? Well, look, Father, I invested these 5 and they gave me 5 more. That means that person developed talents, developed skills. To the one who received only 1, it means he had a small soul and little capacity. He says, Father, I was afraid and hid it in the ground, fearing I wouldn't have the talent to return to you. And then the Creator says to him, well, you've been lazy, you've been idle, and so you have to come back to this world to develop your talents. Because you can't live in fear, because you can't let fear dictate your life, because it doesn't allow you to develop your talents. So we have fear in front of us. And that's what the cycle of reincarnations is about. The cycle of reincarnations is a cycle of learning between lives or interplays or intertrainings. Where there is an accumulation, the score you get in one training after another is cumulative. There can be thousands, since this is set up on a grand scale. You may have had thousands or even millions of trainings or incarnations. That hardly matters, since from its origin, time and space don't exist. Only we on this plane can discuss time and space. Even with a language limited to discussing things from this plane, as we've discussed before. Is that what the cycle of reincarnations is about, even in the Kabbalah? It is said and taught that reincarnations will end in the era of Mashiach. This is a bombshell. Many say it means no more reincarnations, but that's not true. For that person, for that soul that reaches the Mashiach level. I meant earlier that they can discern and realize and to have reached a level of spiritual progress in which they no longer need to come anymore. To this game or to these games? It's over. What will happen then? Well, 2 things will happen. Either that soul will return to the source where it comes from, or it can choose to come to this world by its own choice, not out of a need for progress, to help other souls, or to go to another playing environment. Maybe it doesn't exist yet. Maybe it needs to be created, or maybe it does. I don't know.